Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Violence against women and children is a pandemic that threatens humanity's very fabric. Its causes are deeply rooted in societal norms, gender inequality, and power imbalances. The consequences are devastating: physical harm, emotional trauma, and even death. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back, as rightly quoted by Malala Yousafzai. We must confront these atrocities head on by promoting education, empowerment, and equality.
Violence against women and children is a human rights violation and gender based discrimination. It stems from a culture of gender inequality, patriarchy, and misogyny, perpetuating a power imbalance that allows violence to thrive. The consequences are dire: physical, emotional scars, and even death. To break this cycle, we must challenge discriminatory attitudes and work towards a world where women and children are treated with dignity. Let us unite to create a brighter future free from violence and oppressions.
Today, we are all gathered here in this virtual platform for the validity session of the 24th International Seminar on Combating Violence Against Women and Children, Causes and Consequences by the Kerala Law Academy Law College in association with the Center for Advanced Legal Studies and Research and IQSE KLA.
Kerala Academy Law College, a premier institution since 1966, has consistently demonstrated academic excellence in legal education. It has fostered a community of exceptional legal scholars who have become distinguished citizens and influential leaders in the global legal sphere. As a research arm of the Kerala Law Academy, the Center for Advanced Legal Studies and Research provides a stimulating environment that inspires innovative thinking and nurtures emerging ideas.
As we build upon our rich legacy, we are honored to host the validatory session of the 24th International Seminar, a premier event that convenes renowned experts, scholars, and thought leaders to share expertise, explore new frontiers of knowledge, and foster meaningful collaborations, ultimately advancing our understanding of the complex issues shaping the legal world.
I extend a delightful evening to all those who are present here in the auspicious occasion. Today, we are blessed with the presence of several esteemed personalities on this virtual dais.
A warm welcome is the simplest and most powerful way to make someone feel valued and appreciated. I most humbly welcome Srimati Priya M.K. Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College, who is an outstanding academician of the institution. As a teacher, she embodies the quintessential values of hard work, empathy, and dedication, commitment, inspiring her students to strive for excellence. She has been a part of various national and international seminars, workshops, and conferences. From the bottom of my heart, I invite Priya M.K. Ma'am, who is also the faculty convener of the event, to officially welcome the guests to this validatory session. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Joel. Respected Professor Anil G. Varid, Dean and Director at Amity Law School, Jaipur, Vice Chairperson, Indian Society of Criminology, Professor of Law, Dr. Beulah Shegar, Emeritus Professor in Department of Criminology, Karana Institute of Technologies and Sciences, Advocate Nagaraj Narayan Sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College, and Member, Bar Council of Kerala, Professor Anil Kumar Kher Sir, Director, Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, and other distinguished invitees, teachers, participants, and dear students. A warm welcome to one and all. I'm extremely proud to address you on this auspicious occasion of the 24th International Seminar on Combating Violence Against Women and Children, Causes and Consequences, put forward by Kerala Law Academy Law College and Center for Advanced Legal Studies and Research along with IQAC KLA. Violence against women and children is a serious violation of human rights and is often fueled by deep-rooted societal norms, gender inequality, and imbalances of power. Its impact is devastating, causing physical harm, emotional suffering, and even loss of life. To tackle this crisis, we must take a comprehensive approach that addresses its underlying causes while supporting survivors. This involves promoting education, empowerment, and equality alongside reinforcing laws and policies to prevent and respond to violence. By working together, we can build a safer, fairer, and more inclusive society where women and children can live without fear and thrive in peace. It's my pride and privilege to welcome the legal dignitaries gathered here to participate in this event. I would like to move on to the formal welcome address. We are extremely blessed to have the presence of respected Professor Anilji Varid, Dean and Director at Amity Law School, Jaipur, Vice Chairperson, Indian Society of Criminology, Professor of Law, a distinguished expert in environmental law. He obtained his Bachelor of Law in 1983 and LLM in 1986. He acquired MA in Personal Management and Industrial Relations in 2002 and PhD in Law in 2007 and postdoctoral law in Economics and Humanities in 2023. Dr. Anil C. Varid sir has held several significant positions, including Vice Chairman at Indian Society of Criminology, Chairman at Academy of Development and Legal Studies, Life Member, All India Bar Association, and Life Member, Indian Society of Social Sciences, and Vice Chairman, Indian Society. At present, he holds the esteemed position of Director and Professor at Dean, Faculty of Law. Professor Anil C. Varid sir has done 33 publications and done 5 projects. He had various other achievements too. He has introduced courses on crime investigation, medical jurisprudence litigation, lawyering and law in management, MBA in international business, taxation and law, PG program in mediation and conflict resolution, MBA in corporate finance and banking law. It's my privilege to welcome you, sir, to the session.
Thank you.
I take the privilege to welcome Dr. Beulah Shekhar ma'am, an emeritus professor in criminology at Karunya Institute of Technology and Sciences. She is a coordinator of UGC-sponsored programs focusing on victimology, victim assistance, and human rights. With expertise in criminology, law, and justice, she has conducted extensive research and training in victimology, filling gaps in support for crime victims. She's also served on the Juvenile Justice Board and as a National General Secretary for the YWCA of India. Her contributions to child protection and victim support are widely recognized. I welcome you, ma'am, to this session. I'm delighted and honored to extend a warm welcome to Sri Shubhu sir, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy. His steadfast support and vibrant contributions have been invaluable in the success of this event. Sir will be proposing the vote of thanks to this event. I welcome you, sir. We are deeply honored to have the distinguished presence of Advocate Nairaj Narayan, sir, a luminary in the field of law who serves as the Director of Kerala Law Academy Law College. As a respected member of the Bar Council of Kerala, Advocate Nairaj Narayan, sir, brings him with a wealth of knowledge, expertise, and experience that has inspired countless individuals in the legal fraternity. It gives me immense pleasure to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to Advocate Nairaj Narayan, sir. Next, I'm honored to extend a warm welcome to Professor K. Ankumar, sir, who serves as the Director of Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs at Kerala Law Academy. His unwavering support and guidance have been a source of motivation for all of us. We are truly grateful for his presence at this event, and I wholeheartedly welcome Professor Anil Kumar K. sir to join us and grace this occasion with his presence. Welcome you, sir. A special acknowledgement to Professor Hari K. sir, whose visionary leadership as principal has transformed Kerala Law Academy Law College into a dynamic hub of academic excellence and scholarly endeavors, whose exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence is remarkable. Hearty welcome, sir. I would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Professor G. Ankumar, sir, Vice Principal, Kerala Law Academy Law College, whose dedication to academic excellence and institutional advancement has set a benchmark of excellence. A special welcome goes to Professor Dr. Ajdan Nair Elman, Head of the Department, Kerala Law Academy, whose commitment to excellence and mentorship has guided us to the successful planning and execution of this exceptional event. Your encouragement and support are deeply valued and have contributed immensely to this event. Hearty welcome, ma'am. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our other faculty conveners, Srimati Kasturi J. ma'am, Assistant Professor of Kerala Law Academy, whose unwavering support has been instrumental in this event. Srimati Kavya Mohan ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College, for her hard work, support, and passion which has brought this event to the success. Finally, I would like to express my sincere welcome to all the participants, speakers, IT team, technical staff, student conveners, Manipriya, Gautam, Harinarayan, Banshri, Neeraj, Gauri Jyotish, Rose, Govind, Harikrishnan, Bharati, Ginny, Gautam Krishnan, and student moderators Nibin and Nair Manibala for their contributions. Your enthusiasm and true dedication have made this event a resounding success. I hope the seminar was a fruitful experience for everyone, and I welcome each one of you to this function. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm welcome. I take this opportunity to welcome you into the ceremony, ma'am. Now, we have the presence of Professor Dr. Anil G. Varid sir, Dean and Director at Amity Law School, Jaipur, Vice Chairperson, Indian Society of Criminology, Professor of Law. We are honored to welcome Professor Dr. Anil G. Varid sir, a distinguished academician with over 2 decades of experience. He earns esteemed degrees from Kerala University, Universidad de Studi, and Chanakya National Law University. Sir has held prestigious positions at Amity University and SNDT Women's University and is a renowned expert in constitutional law, corporate governance, and in environmental law. With 4 books and over 30 articles to his credit, he is a paragon of academic excellence and a beacon of knowledge in the legal field. With an illustrious career as a professor and a rich background in law, his insight have inspired many and his commitment to education has left a lasting impact. We are privileged to have Professor Dr. Anil G. Varid sir with us today to address the valedictory session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Aishwarya, and thank you, Jeval, also. Thank you, Professor Priya. Distinguished Professor Bhila Shekhar, Director of the Kerala Law Academy, Advocate Nagaraj Narayan, Professor Anil Kumar K, my friend and Principal, Professor Harindran Sir, Vice Principal Professor Anil Kumar Ji, HOD Dr. Ajita Nair, and Advocate Nalla Saran, member of the Bar Council, and all the members of the faculty and all other dignitaries who have joined this virtual platform today for this valedictory function and before for this entire international seminar. I'm audible now? You can hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. So, first of all, I congratulate the organizing committee for arranging such a conference on a very, very important and valid theme. Also, I like to thank Dr. Dakshina Saraswati, who has been coordinating with me, and she has, as per her discussion, our discussion, it was decided that I will speak a few words on the female feticides. So I would like to confine to that topic only. I know that after having a day-long session, all of you are mentally and physically tired, so I don't take much time. So if you ask me, what is the most heinous offense against women? I would say it is female feticide because it is a planned elimination of the female from the womb of the mother, where a child is considered to be the safest. All other rights you can avail and enjoy only if you get a chance to be born. Even before one is born, that life is eliminated. It is not a new phenomena in India. We will find that because of the socio-cultural reasons, right from the long ancient period, we have a some preference in the society. If you see the rituals where the traditional Hindu marriage follow, the elders used to bless the couple, saying that Shataputtravati Bhava. We blessed with 100 sons. Right. And knowingly or unknowingly, all the rituals associated with the family are made to be the prerogative of the male children only. So, and of course, there are reasons associated with dowry and other financial elements also. Safety issues were there. And again, in many of the societies, there was no property rights to the female children, so that those issues were there. Therefore, naturally, there was some preference, and it led to a practice of female infanticide. At the childhood itself, the female children were made to death either by drowning or by any other, by employing so many means. People are very much expertise in they have a lot of expertise in that. So the first enactment in this area we can see that it was brought in by the Britishers. The Bengal Regulatory Act 21 of 1795 is perhaps the first enactment in India which has made the female infanticide a crime equivalent to planned murder. It was followed by another law, that was the Bengal Regulation 6 of 1802. And immediately after that, in the year, not immediately, say half century later, a formal law, that is the Female Infanticide Act, was passed in the year 1864. And even in our Indian Penal Code, there were provisions dealing with female feticide and infanticide under sections 312 to 318, which specifically dealt with causing miscarriage, preventing child from being born again, causing death of an unborn child, abandoning a newborn baby, then concealing the body or secretly disposing the body of it. All these things were made specific offenses under the IPC. Now, under the new BNS, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, sections 88 to 92 deals with these offenses. And but again, there have always been discussions about the rights of the female with respect to her body, her reproductive rights, her right to be born, all these things. And in the year 1964, the Ministry of Health has set up a committee. That committee is known as Shantilal Shah Committee, to look into the human right issues of women, especially the reproductive rights. And there was already by that time there have been large widespread demand for having an abortion law, and subsequently in the year 1971 the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act was passed, which came into effect from with effect from 1st April 1972, which was again 2 times it was revised. And the purpose of the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act was to recognize women's right to privacy, her right to limit her pregnancies, her right to produce healthy offsprings, her right to have freedom of choice with respect to her body, her right to be secured against unhealthy practices of termination of pregnancy and all. But these provisions were also being misused by unscrupulous elements for the purpose of selectively eliminating the female children from our society. So the period between 1981 and 1991 is very significant, because there was a sudden or a steady decline in the sex ratio, where the sex ratio of female has fallen from 932 to 927. So this has been realized by many states, but the state of Maharashtra was the first state to come up with the legislation in this area. That was the Maharashtra Regulation of Use of Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act. It was passed in the year 1987. So the alarming situation was noticed by not only by Maharashtra, but the states like Madhya Pradesh, then Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, to great extent Tamil Nadu. All these states have noticed this, and there had been a widespread awareness was also growing with respect to having having a better sex ratio, and also to take certain strong measures to prevent all these infanticide and female feticide. And by that time, India has also ratified the Vienna Declaration on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, the CEDAW. India has ratified it in the year 1973, and the preamble of CEDAW also calls for abolishing all type of violation based on gender, and that our Article 21, right to life, has an expanded meaning, and it also gives a right to life to everyone in a very, very wider perspective, which includes the right of an unborn child to be born. Right to be born also include right to life. Then the Parliament of India, after having realized this importance, it has come up with a central legislation, PNDT Act, the Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Regulation Prevention of Misuse Act in the year 1994, and in the year 2002 it was further amended, and the name of the changed uh, to Pre-Conception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Prohibition and Sex Selection Act, and thereafter the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has also notified the rules in the year 2003. So the purpose was to regulate prenatal diagnostic techniques for the purpose of detecting metabolic disorders and detecting genetic disorders, and to prevent the misuse of such techniques for the purpose of detection or determination of preconception or prenatal sex of the fetus, leading to a female feticide. And just I will just go through for a while. I'll just go through the. I'll be very conscious of time also, but I'll just go through fast about a few sections. First of all, the section 2, which uh, defines so many concepts. One is the prenatal diagnostic procedure, which included procedure like sonography, ultrasonography, fetoscopy, then taking or removing sample of amniotic fluid or blood or any tissue or a fluid of a man or woman before or after conception, and sent for a genetic laboratory or clinic for conducting any type of analysis or test which will lead to the determination of the sex of the fetus. Then again, the genetic clinic, genetic laboratory, all those things have been well defined in the Act. And again, section 2, subsection 2 of the Act, it has included what is under the sex selection. It included the procedure, test, technique, administration, prescription, everything under the ambit of sex selection, which is in fact made a punishable offense under the Act. You may also go through the Act for a better understanding. Then section 4, which provides provisions to regulate prenatal diagnostic techniques, where it can be used, where it is permitted to be used. For example, to identify genetic metabolic diseases, then sex-linked genetic diseases, then congenital anomalies, or other abnormalities. Other than this, it is not to be used for any other purpose. So similarly, section 5, 6, there are so many provisions we deal with it. 17, then 18, and punishment is also prescribed under 20, 21, 22. All these things are all these sections. You may please go through. Then again, it has given a wide power to the government as also the authorized authority, appropriate authority, to conduct search and other inspections in the clinics. And there's a presumption, especially there's a presumption under section 24. This is very important. That if at all a prenatal test is conducted, section 24 presumes that the woman is compelled by her husband or other relatives to undergo the prenatal diagnostic test. So the law will bring all these people into the net, and they are all liable for punishment. And punishment also 3 to 7 years punishment, imprisonment is there, and 10,000 rupees fine is also there. And all the offences under this Act are made non-compoundable, cognizable, non-compoundable, and non-bailable. Then again, section 31 of the Act protects the state government, central government, and appropriate authority from all actions which they have done in good faith under this Act. So this is okay. With respect to passing a legislation is okay, but the law is to be implemented effectively. As in the case of many other laws, it was passed, but it was not actually implemented effectively in its letter and spirit. Then this led to a public interest litigation in the year 2000, 2000 and it was disposed of in the year 2001. A petition was filed by an organization called Center for Enquiry into Health and Allied Themes, which was a research organization, a research center under the Anusandhan Trust based in Pune and Mumbai. And also another organization, Sarvangan Utkarsha Mandal. It is also another organization, and one person, activist called Dr. Sabu M. George, who had sufficient experience and technical knowledge in the field of PNDT. And the Supreme Court has disposed of the matter in the year 2001, giving certain directions to the governments. Again, these people had to come to the court because, while disposing of the main petition, the court observed that it is unfortunate that for one reason or another, the practice of female infanticide still prevails in society, despite the fact that the gentle touch of a daughter and her voice has soothing effect on the parents. This was observation made by the court. So now only difference was that female infanticide has been effectively replaced by female feticide. So again, the matter came before the court, and court has asked the state governments to take further steps to enforce the law. And the Department of Family Welfare was directed to file an affidavit indicating the status of the action taken. And the Supreme Court again went further, and it has directed 9 companies to supply the information about the missions sold to various clinics during the last 5 years. And under that exercise, the details about 11,200 missions sold by these companies to different clinics and clinical establishments were received. In the sense, 11,200 machines were sold and used without registration. And the government was asked to initiate prosecution against those who are responsible for that, including the doctors who prescribed these techniques. Because that's why I told you in the sex selection, even prescription is also included under section 2, subsection O. Then another, the law was challenged. The constitutional validity of the law was challenged before the Supreme Court in another case, Vinod Soni versus Union of India in the year 2005. And the Supreme Court has upheld the constitutional validity of the act. And it also said that every child has a right to full development. Every child has a right to full development. Therefore, a child conceived also has the right to full development under Article 21 of the Constitution. The court also held that right to personal liberty does not include the right to choose the sex of offspring, as liberty cannot be expanded to prohibit the fetus coming into existence. So this is settled in this case, in Vinod Soni versus Union of India. This is with respect to the legal approach and the judicial approach with respect to this phenomena. And now, of late, there are certain rays of hopes we can see. The government of India has come up with certain plans to safeguard the interest of the girl children. One is the Beti Bachao, Beti Patao, and other one is Sukanya Samruddhi account. These two schemes have yielded some results, started yielding results. The main objective of Beti Bachao, Beti Patao scheme was to prevent female infanticide and female feticide, and to ensure that every girl is protected and ensure that every girl is educated. Under the scheme, initially 100 districts were selected, where focus is given with respect to the sex ratio, falling sex ratio to enhance the sex ratio, improve sex ratio. The government was so particular that at least one district in one state has to be included under this scheme. And as of now, as of July 2024, the sex ratio has improved. Now there is 940 female to 1,000 males in the national average. But it is said that by the end of December, the figure has come to 948. Whatever it is, we take as the minimum, the base level 940. Then it is a significant improvement, I can definitely say. And that Sukanya Samardhi account of Yojana also has helped in all these things. So this is a little way we could come in this direction. And again, Kerala was a state having better sex ratio right from the beginning. There are two reasons for that. One is the land, property rights given to the females, and majority of the Kerala communities, especially Hindus, almost all sections of Hindus and large section of Muslims also were traditionally following the Marimakataya system, where the females' property rights have already been recognized. So never female was considered as a liability in the family. Another thing is the increased level of awareness due to education. So this is what I have to say with respect to this. And now, as of today, along with Kerala, there are other states which has better sex ratio, where the number of female are more than male. That includes Andhra Pradesh, then Tamil Nadu also come, Goa is also there. So there are other states also in this. So this is a remarkable achievement. But still, there are some states where sex ratio has fallen drastically down. So many things we have to take, and government will come up with further efforts. And as a enlightened society, we should also support. And this type of seminars, it will open as a it will function as a platform for debating these issues from the rights perspective. And I once again congratulate the organizing committee, and I also thank the Academy, Kerala Law Academy, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my thoughts with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your thought-provoking words. Today, we are also in the presence of an eminent personality, Dr. Beulah Shekhar Ma'am, Emeritus Professor in the Department of Criminology, Karunya Institute of Technologies and Sciences. Dr. Beulah Shekhar Ma'am is a renowned Chair Professor of Criminology at the LNJN and NICFS. She has taught, researched, and collaborated on projects focusing on victimology and criminology. With multiple degrees in the fields like women's studies, psychology, and law, she has trained police and judiciary officials. A prolific researcher, she has presented her work globally and served in national consultations. She's a distinguished luminary in the field of criminology, renowned for her exemplary scholarship, innovative research, and tireless advocacy for victim rights, earning her numerous prestigious awards and international recognitions. Thus, it's a matter of immense privilege to welcome Beulah Shekhar Ma'am for the presidential address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And my gratitude is due to Kerala Law Academy for having me here with you all today. And it's a kind of homecoming because this is not my first, and I don't think it'll be my last lecture with this Kerala Law Academy. I've had a few scholars from here as well getting their PhD in the field of criminology and victimology. So hearty congratulations to the organizers and to the administration, the director, the principal of this great institution for having conducted 24 international seminars and conferences. We know how difficult it is to manage even one or two. And congratulations on doing this 24. It's like hitting a century in cricket. So well done. And yes, I've been looking at your the program that has happened through the week, and you've covered all the topics. So there's nothing left for us to talk about, but the wide range, it's really wonderful that you have thought of everything that needs to be addressed when it comes to gender-based violence. So yes, I was thinking of talking about something for the fear of repeating myself and getting you bored as well. So I was looking for a topic that was not in that list of topics that you've covered, but it's still pertinent to the field of gender-based violence. So I thought I'll talk to you today about how we work with men and boys to address gender-based violence. So this has been an area, I would say, that is greatly neglected. So when we look at involving men and boys to address gender-based violence, and I would also say that this, you've been talking about the causes and the consequences. So yes, we need to know what causes and the consequences as well. But we need to go forward. We need to look ahead and look at what next. So how do you overcome this challenge? How do you prevent gender-based violence? So what I thought I'll share with you today would largely lie in that area. What happens next? So we know the causes, we know the consequences. So what do we do? How do we prevent this? So we need to look at that. And for this, I thought quickly I will answer the 6 W's and the 1 H, the questions: what, who, why, when, which, where, and how. And then we'll see how we can combat this gender-based violence. So what is the need to involve men and boys? When you look at this, I would say that we went through the Nirbhaya case. We had the Justice Verma Commission. We did a lot of things with our laws. We did a lot of things with our administration, and we tried to set things right. But then the Disha case happened in Hyderabad, where a young doctor was molested and killed. And then we haven't yet got over that, and we know about the RJ case that happened in Calcutta recently. So what are we doing wrong, or what are we not doing right, is one question that we'll try to answer. And who is responsible for this perpetuation of the gender-based violence? There never seems to be an end to this. It's happening time and again. So we'll try to answer who is responsible and why is it recurring, in spite of all the efforts, the criminal justice system, the NGOs, the academicians, everybody's pulling in, doing their bit, but still we seem to see no light at the end of the tunnel. So let's see why that is. And also, when is the time to really put our foot down and say, this is the roadmap, and this is the roadmap for the future. This is what needs to be done. And which of the stakeholders do we need to include when we are talking about gender-based violence? And where do we need to start? And finally, the 1H, how? How do we go about preventing and addressing this gender-based violence? And we also need to move out from the thing of women and girls and talk about the gender-based violence, including transgender persons. And so we need to look at gender-based violence, not only because violence against men is also happening. So we need to focus on that largely. So when you look at this, we look at the sustainable developmental goals, just to put things in perspective. You see, we have all these goals about gender equality, eradicating poverty, providing water, sustainability, and all these things. But when you look at all this, I would say goal number 16, which talks about peace, justice, and strong institutions. I would say this is the most important goal that we need to address here. Because once this is put in place, we would see that everything falls into place. So we need to strengthen our institutions that deal with this gender-based violence. So that our focus should be, and I'm glad that as a law academy, you're taking the initiative to at least open the eyes of the participants and open the eyes of the society to see what can be done and how it can be done. So we see that largely how this goal of this workshop, this seminar, this conference is fitting into the global goals of the sustainable development goals. So we see how we are also trying in our own little way to work towards this strengthening of institutions to achieve the sustainable developmental goals. So, and this goal number 16, like I said, is the most important one: peace, justice, and strong institutions. So when you look at this building strong institutions, we need to see that the principle of shared power and responsibility. It's very, very important. If power lies with one gender, then that's where the problem starts. So we need to talk about shared power and responsibility. It should be established among the genders. And this we see that it's not only at home, but also in the workplace and in a wider national and international community also. Even in the parliament, like you see, Canada was the first country that had a gender balance. They had 50 female parliamentarians and 50 male parliamentarians. And we were there at the UN convention in New York when Justin Trudeau was talking about how he got to do this, he had to bring about his balance, and he insisted on having the parliament as 50-50. So you see how we need to have the shared responsibility. And this is a great step towards preventing gender-based violence. And you need to look at a transformed partnership, which is based on equality between men and women. And it's a condition for people-centered sustainable development. If you look at it, we need to have this partnership and balance the power out. And that's one thing. And the other thing is, I think for decades, women have been leading the women's rights movements, have been fighting for women's rights, have been trying to prevent gender-based violence. But when you look at the Istanbul Convention, that is the Europe Convention on Gender-Based Violence, what the Istanbul Convention clearly says is that men and boys have a vital role to play in preventing gender-based violence. So this is something that we need to focus on, how to include men and boys as a society. How do we recognize this to be a global human rights issue, and how we need to involve men and boys as well. And you see most times, even in the universities, even in other public meetings, when you have a Women's Day celebration, you see that only women are present. And that we fail in involving the other half also, because we're preaching to the converted. Why do we talk to women about women's rights? Why do we talk to only women about gender-based violence? We need to have everybody on board, and there needs to be an equal partnership. And we need to make the men and boys understand that they are part of the solution also. They may be part of the problem, but they are part of the solution also. I think that is where we need to tweak a bit and try to focus on men and boys when we are conducting these gender-based violence programs. And men and boys, they have a responsibility to prevent and act and to combat gender-based violence, because it's their mothers, their sisters, their family also who stand to lose when gender-based violence is not a reality and it's simply a rhetoric. So the need to involve men and boys is very, very crucial at this point in time. And you see there are 10, if you look at the number of UN resolutions, if you look at the number of conventions, there are 10, I call them the 10 commandments, starting with the Istanbul Convention, which spoke about involving men and boys. Then we have the resolution in 2023, recent resolution, 2480, that resolution number. That talks about the roles and responsibilities of men and boys in stopping gender-based violence against women and girls. So we need to take the cue as a country, as a state, as a academy, as the criminal justice system. We need to take a cue from this and work on this as well. And the Dublin Declaration on Prevention of Domestic and Sexual Gender-Based Violence also insists on involving men and boys. And there's another resolution in 2014, which is resolution number 2027, which talks on focusing on the perpetrators to prevent violence against women and girls. So it's very, very important. We see all these 10 commandments, like I call them, the resolutions, promoting parliaments free of sexism and sexual harassment. So they're starting right from the top, from the lawmakers. And also the resolution in 2021 talks about the revision of the code of conduct for members of the Parliamentary Assembly. So, and not in my parliament, just like we have this Me Too movement, they've started the Not in My Parliament awareness raising initiative to prevent and combat gender sexism, harassment, and violence against women in parliament. And this is done by men, and it's their involvement, their initiative. And this is what will bear fruit. The more men we have as feminists, the more we can win this battle. That's what I'd like to talk to you about today. And the places of men and boys in women's rights and gender equality policies is very, very crucial to succeed. Excuse me, to succeed in fighting this war against gender-based violence. And you look at the Europe action page, and again, that talks about resolution 2019 and 2019. That also spoke about combating sexism and working with men and boys. So you see, when you look at all these resolutions through the era, and you see that it's now time for a paradigm shift in focus. So what we have been doing all this while is we've been dealing with the symptoms. We look at gender-based violence, you look at it as a disease, we've only been dealing with the symptoms. We have been taking paracetamol without dealing with the infection that lies underneath. We've been dealing with the symptoms instead of treating the malady or the disease. So we need to include men and boys, and we need to work with them when we talk about gender-based violence. And if we want to answer the question, why do we need to include men and boys? Maybe because men and boys perpetrate gender-based violence and they commit gender-based violence, and maybe because men are also sexually assaulted, and when men are sexually victimized, other men are most often the perpetrators. So we have them also on board with us when they talk about sexual assault and gender-based violence. We need to include men because that confines them. Because 80% of the victims, 80% of the perpetrators are known to the victims. So when you look at this, relationships with men are approached with a fear and a mistrust. So what are we doing? We are preventing that intimacy, because that intimacy is limited by the constant that we define men as violent. And why do we need to include men and boys would also be answered as because some of them might disclose that they have been a victim of gender-based violence to men, and they do not know how to deal with it. When they have women telling them about their victimization and about their experience, men are not prepared to respond with sensitivity because they do not know how. So they need to be included. They need to come on board and work with the victims and to understand the impact of what they do. So that's another reason we need to include men and boys, I think. And also another reason could be because men and boys can stop gender-based violence. Gender-based violence, in gender-based violence, largely you see that sex is used as a weapon for power and control. And for gender-based violence to stop, men must be empowered to make different choices. So that's like you see in the movie called Animal. It was very, very clearly shown in that film about how men use the power and control, and they perpetuate gender-based violence. So every time, it's so important that every time a man's voice joins with the women in speaking out against gender-based violence, the world becomes a very, very safe place. So it's important to include men and boys also when we talk about gender-based violence. And when we looked at Justice Verma Committee recommendations, he spoke about the three main areas in which you need to work. The beliefs and prejudice. He said this is what caused gender-based violence. And for that, we needed to change attitudes. We needed to change the socialization process, how we learn that men are better than boys, men are better than women, boys can control girls. So this is how we are socialized. So we need to do a lot of unlearning and relearning. As teachers, we all know that learning something, teaching them something is very easy, but trying to make them unlearn what they already know is really a challenge. So we need to work on that. How do we change attitudes? So we need to look at that area, and that is where the challenge lies, the socialization process, where we show that men are better than women. That is what needs to be changed. And when you look at gender-based violence, you see that, like we have in our routine activity theory, there are three things that need to come together for a crime to happen. One is a motivated offender, and the other one is the absence of capable guardians, and finally, a suitable target. So when these three come together, there is a crime, be it a gender-based violence or be it any other crime. So when we are working in this, we need to work in all the three areas. We need to encourage we need to discourage bystander apathy, so that the absence of capable guardians that is removed and the crime, the gender-based violence might not happen. We fail to realize that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's why we have this bystander apathy. So we have the Samaritan guidelines where it urges people to be involved when the gender-based violence is occurring. So men also need to be involved and prevent this type of violence. And the other element would be motivated offenders. So if you tackle the men and boys, if you show them how they can prevent this gender-based violence and end this impunity that is happening with the perpetrators of gender-based violence, that would also be a way in which we prevent this crime. And of course, the victim hardening, working with the suitable target, working with the victim, empowering her. But that, I think, is not really right to put the burden on the victim. It's always what we do is we teach the female how to dress and how not to dress, where to go and where not to go, and what time to travel, what time to stay indoors. So again, we are putting the onus on the victim. We are not talking about to the boys and girls and telling them not to assault, to respect women, but we are again putting pressure on the woman and again further victimizing her is what I should say. So we need to understand, we need to work on all these three areas and all of them, and not only on the victim and tell her to do this and not do this to prevent gender-based violence. The society has a role, the perpetrator definitely has a role. So it's all of us who need to work together to prevent this gender-based violence. And of course, men and boys are a crucial part of this. So we need to look in all areas. We need to make laws, which we have already done, and execute these laws. Implementation, again, we know there are a lot of hiccups, but we need to strengthen that. And we need to use men and boys along with, take them along with us when we are working in this area. And people's cooperation, that again is very, very important. And we need to remove the causes of crime from the society, which is the beliefs and the attitudes that comes through the process of socialization, how we socialize our boys, how we socialize them to believe that they are better and this is the weaker sex and these are just objects. So these are things that we need to remember, and we as young people need to understand that boys and men and their perspectives also. We need to focus on self-action. We need to focus on highlighting the need to change the self first. And we need to understand what women's empowerment leads to and how it affects gender relations also. So we need to break the privileges that we are right now giving men and boys and what they receive by showing them the advantages of gender equality. They also stand to benefit with gender equality. There are studies which show that men are at a greater risk for heart attacks and other blood pressure and things like that because they have the pressure of protecting the women in the family. They have the pressure of providing for women in the family. So there are advantages of gender equality. We need to show that to the men and boys as well, and to break those privileges that they receive and talk about equality in the family, in the society, in the larger sphere where we all live and work. And we need to establish that gender equality is not about giving one group power over the other. It's about sharing the power equally. That's what we need to focus on. We need to understand that that is what we need to do. And when you look at men and boys, I always think that they're not born violent. Men and boys are not always violent. They're not born violent. We have to understand that they're socialized into a culture of violence. That movie Animal beautifully brings out this concept, how that boy was socialized into a culture of violence to make him look very macho and being a real man only if he's violent, only if he talks and speaks like that to women. So that is what we need to understand. The socialization process, that is where we need to break. And that is where all of us have a role as teachers, as parents, as peer. We need to understand that. And we also need to understand that boys and men themselves are not the issue and the challenge. We need to understand that the socialization process is the challenge. So they were not born like that. They were not born thinking that they are better than boys, that where they are better than girls. Then where did they get the idea? So someone has put it into them. So we need to be accountable for that. And we need to make them understand that there is a sharing of power. And this masculine behavior, we need to understand recognize this masculine behavior. We need to recognize the attitudes and the overall socialization process of boys. And then only we can change it. If we live in denial, we can never change it. We should take responsibility as women, as mothers, how we perpetuate this process of letting the boys think they're better than the girls, and they have ownership over the girls. So we have a role to play as well. We need to recognize the pressures of patriarchal societies. What is happening in patriarchal societies? Yes, we heard from the previous speaker about the community in Kerala, which is a matriarchal in nature, but that's a very rare phenomenon. We don't have that in many of the other states and many other places as well. So they are at an advantage, but we need to understand the pressures of patriarchal societies, what pressures they put on men. And we need to recognize that men also have fears. Men also have aspirations, and they also have emotions. But what we do as a society, we put them in a man box and we tell them not to openly express emotions. All the emotions are banned. Only emotion a man can express is anger. That we are okay with if men express anger. But if men express sorrow, if men express fear, men express love, that is not seen as a man fitting into the man box. So why are we pressurizing men to fit into this man box? Maybe many of them are very sensitive, but it's the pressure, the societal pressure. And we want to make them self-sufficient. We never let them seek for help. We try to put pressure on them to act tough. And we focus a lot on their physical attractiveness. And we are adhering to strict gender roles. So that is another thing. The heterosexuality also. The sexual prowess, you saw that in that movie called Animal. It was really very well portrayed. It's a good lesson for what we should not be doing when we are dealing with children. And also teaching them that only aggression is used to resolve conflicts. There are many other ways in which you can resolve conflicts. But how do we focus on just the aggressive methods to resolve conflicts? So these are all norms of the so-called man box. And these are all these are the 7 pillars, I would say, that put these men, the real men are supposed to be like this. This is what we do. And in the process, we see that they become violent and they are perpetrators of gender-based violence. So we need to see, we need to introspect, we need to see what we can do. And we need to unpack this man box. When you look at this man box, it helps us to illustrate the collective socialization of men. So what are we doing to our boys who turn out to be these men who do these horrendous things to women, like in the Nirbhaya case, like in the Arjekar case, like in that case in Hyderabad? So what are we doing? And the practice of healthy manhood is the path out of the man box. So we need to work with men, make them understand that manhood does not rely only on the violence that they perpetuate. So we need to make them understand the healthy manhood. What is a healthy manhood? Showing emotions, showing love, showing care, showing concern. This is what is a healthy manhood. And we need to help men and boys also raise their voices publicly against violence of women, against women. Some of them want to do it. They know that it's wrong. But then for a societal acceptance, they need to play along with the other men. So that's the reason they hesitate. So men who intervene when there's gender-based violence, they need to be appreciated. When men who recognize themselves as feminists need to be encouraged. Feminism is not saying women are better than men. It's saying both are equal. So why can't we get men on board when we are trying to prevent gender-based violence? We need to be a more inclusive society if we need to prevent gender-based violence. And last but not the least, I think to publicly challenge existing social norms. And we need to take responsibility. We need to help men break out of this box. And we need to break the box, process of breaking the man box. And we need to also work with all the stakeholders, men, women, parents, educators, you and me, the media, teachers, partners, and all the other members of society. We need to help men break out of this box. That's when we can end this violence. And we need to navigate towards reward and punishment of manhood. That's a real dilemma for young men. They think they get rewards only if they show a lot of violence, when they're abusive, when they're aggressive. But that's not the reality at all. All the stakeholders have a role to play in reinforcing this positive, equitable, unrestricted ideas of manhood. We are really putting a lot of pressure on our men and boys to behave like we expect them to behave. So, in other words, it's time for all of us to help men and boys to break out of this box and to finally break this so-called man box. So there needs to be a hand holding to get the men out of the man box towards a healthy man. And manhood is not all about aggression and violence. We need to make them understand that caring and concern, all this is also part of man. It is actually only humanhood. There's nothing as womanhood and manhood. All of us want this peace and justice that we are talking about. That goal number 16 of the Sustainable Development Goal talks about. So eventually we need to see how to engage men and boys to prevent violence against women. For the past 20 years, we've been trying to do this. Women's organizations, everybody has been trying to prevent this. So we need to get men on board. Men must join the movement, like the UN says, engage men. And we saw the UNIFEM clip that they had, a film about Ring the Bell. That was a very nice way of showing how men can be involved. When there is domestic violence, little children go and ring the bell. And they know that's just to show that they are there to protect the woman. So we cannot do it alone. We cannot prevent gender-based violence when we get together only with women. Men must join the women. And for this action to be effective, this leads to a gender transformative interventions. This is what we need now. We need gender transformative interventions that engage men, and in thoughtful ways. They need to understand that, and a well-designed and holistic intervention involving both men and boys and women. So we need to work together. Interventions that are focusing solely on men are very, very ineffective also. So we need to work together. They need to address local gender norms and context-specific risk factors associated with men abusing women. So we need to look at that as well. So transforming social norms to end gender-based violence, this is what we need to do. There's a lot of research, recent research, which is designing a framework for involving men and girls, men and boys in prevention of violence against women and intimate partner violence especially. So these frameworks, we as academicians, we can contribute to with a lot of research in this area and see, involve men and boys, do an experimental research, see if the impact is significant. And we need to show how this, so any policy based on sound research is what will sustain. The policy needs to be based on research. So we as academicians, we need to do a lot of research in this area and to show how this transformation of social norms relating to gender and masculinity can happen. And we need to also use the mental health intervention there are a lot of men who indulge in gender-based violence because of mental health intervention. So we need to acknowledge the link between gender-based violence and depression, anxiety, alcoholism, substance abuse. All these things are also the causes of gender-based violence. And we need to support men with common mental health problems like alcohol and substance abuse. We are not doing this to help them. We are doing this to help women who are victims of that abuse because of the mental health intervention. Now, very lately, everybody has realized that mental health intervention is so important. And studies show that an improvement in mental health outcomes for men, which also includes reduction in alcohol consumption, reductions in men's impaired functioning and psychological distress, which in turn prevents gender based violence. There are lots of research which also shows that outcomes were sustained and many further cases improved 3 months after treatment. So that's another area that we need. So when we're working with men and boys, it's not only involving them, it's helping them also overcome their anxieties and their depression to prevent gender based violence. So we need to build the evidence for working with men and to create a change. So policy based on research, like I said, let's all get together, let's all do some research and study from childhood how men build their masculine identity in sexist contexts, where they internalize the idea of masculine power. This is where we're going wrong, associated with the submission of women. So this we need to study how this happened. When did they start using this? So we need to build the evidence base for further policies and programs. We need to look at formative research on male sexuality and the use of sexual violence against women. So these men believe that there is sexual violence only when physical force is used. So that again has to be challenged. There are many, many areas of research that we can do, and we could do as a academic community, do it in different places. Like, of course, we know places like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, where things are different. They're more progressive. So we need to compare and see what is it that reduces the gender-based violence here or gives women the power, and look at it across the country. So when we have a group like this, we have people from all over the country. So we can all get together. We have somebody from Jaipur, we have somebody from Delhi, from Trivandrum, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, everywhere. So we need to look at it as a collaborative effort to put in our thoughts together and do our little researchers in our little places and put it all together and see exactly what works. So the road ahead, we have a lot to do, miles to go before we sleep. Like Robert Frost said, it's not so easy to prevent gender-based violence. We have miles to go before we sleep. And we need to make a call to men and boys and work with the women and girls. And together we need to go ahead for a transformative India where gender-based violence hopefully would be a thing of the past. So I hope I'm well in time. Thank you very much. And Jai Hind if there are no questions. Thank you.
I extend my heartfelt thanks to you, ma'am, for your valuable words of wisdom, and we are extremely honored and privileged to have you on board with us. Gratitude is a mark of noble soul and refined character. From the bottom of my heart, I welcome Sri Shibu PG Sir, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College. He is a vibrant and enthusiastic teacher who is an inevitable part of all the events organized by Kerala Law Academy Law College. He personifies empathy, patience, and understanding, supporting students' emotional and academic growth. I would also like to take this opportunity to welcome Sri Shibu PG Sir, who is also a faculty convener of the event, to deliver the vote of thanks to this valedictory session. Sir, please.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Respected dignitaries, Professor Anil G. Variath, Dean and Director at Amity Law School, Jaipur, Vice Chairperson, Indian Society of Criminology, Professor of Law, Dr. Bula Shekhar, Emeritus Professor in Department of Criminology, Karunya Institute of Technologies and Sciences, Advocate Nagaraj Narayanan Sir, Director KLA, Professor K. Anil Kumar Sir, Director Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, faculty members, dear colleagues and esteemed participants. It is my honor to deliver the vote of thanks at this inaugural section of the 24th International Seminar on Combating Violence Against Women and Children Causes and Consequences, organized by the Kerala Law Academy Law College in collaboration with the Center for Advanced Legal Studies and Research and IQAC KLA. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished chief guest, Professor Anil G. Variath, Dean and Director at Amity Law School, Jaipur. Sir, your insights have shed light on the challenges and opportunities in the field of intellectual property, enriching us all with valuable knowledge. We are truly privileged to have you with us today. On behalf of Kerala Law Academy and on my own behalf, I extend a hearty thanks to you, sir. I would also like to express my deep appreciation to Dr. Bilok Shekhar, Emeritus Professor in Department of Criminology, Karunya Institute of Technologies and Sciences. Your perspectives on the thought-provoking topic in today's interconnected world have set the perfect stage for the enriching discussions that will follow during the seminar. On behalf of the Kerala Law Academy, teachers, students, non-teaching members, and on my own behalf, I propose a sincere thanks to you, ma'am. And a special thanks to Priya ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy Law College, for her warm and thoughtful welcome address. Your words have beautifully framed the purpose and significance of today's event, creating a sense of anticipation for the knowledge sharing that awaits. Special thanks to you, ma'am. I also extended our deepest gratitude to our Advocate Nagaraj Narayanan sir, Director of Kerala Law Academy and a distinguished member of the Bar Council of Kerala. Your unwavering support and visionary stewardship have been instrumental in shaping the academic excellence of our institution. We are sincerely thankful for your guidance and commitment to our collective journey towards excellence on behalf of the Kerala Law Academy, teachers, students, non-teaching members, and on my own behalf, I propose a sincere thanks to you, sir. Next, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Professor K. Anil Kumar sir, Director of Administration, Students and Faculty Affairs, whose prudent leadership and unwavering support have cultivated an atmosphere conducive to creativity and intellectual conversation between our students and profound professionals in the legal field. Thank you, sir, for your relentless dedication to the advancement and prosperity of our institution. A special acknowledgement to Professor Harindran K. sir, whose visionary leadership as principal has transformed Kerala Law Academy Law College into a dynamic hub of academic excellence and scholarly endeavors. Thank you, sir, for your exceptional leadership and unwavering commitment to excellence. I would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Professor G. Anil Kumar sir, Vice Principal, Kerala Law Academy Law College, whose dedication to academic excellence and institutional advancement has set a benchmark of excellence. Your leadership has fostered a culture of collaboration, innovation, and continual growth within our esteemed institution, sir. A sincere appreciation goes to Professor Dr. Ajita Nair L. Ma'am, Head of the Department, Kerala Law Academy, whose commitment to excellence and mentorship has guided us through the successful planning and execution of the exceptional event. Your encouragement and support are deeply valued and have contributed immensely to the program's success, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the faculty conveners for their outstanding leadership, which has culminated in the resounding success of this event. This relentless hard work, expert guidance, and unwavering commitment have created an unforgettable experience. Their exceptional organizational skills and collaborative spirit have raised the bar for future events. Their dedications to excellence is shining examples for all. I am extremely thankful to Srimati Kasturi J. Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy, Vidya V. Ma'am, Associate Professor, Kerala Law Academy, dear Dakshina Saraswati Ma'am, Associate Professor and General Secretary, KLA MCS, Priya Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy, and K. Kavya Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Kerala Law Academy, for their efforts and their commitments for their smooth conduct of this event. Behind every successful event is a team of unsung heroes, and today is no exception. I would like to take this moment to acknowledge the tireless efforts of our technical, administrative staff and IT team. Your hard work, often behind the scenes, has ensured the flawless execution of this seminar. I am deeply thankful to our vibrant students conveners, Manupriya Chalan, Gautam SR, Harinarayan S, Bhanupriya JS, Neeraj S, Gauri Jyotish B, Rose Reba Prakash, Govind S, Harikrishnan R, Bharadhi Prasannan, Ginny Thomas Chako, and Gautam Krishna A for their unwavering dedication in making this event a grand success. Finally, to all our participants and attendees, I extend a heartfelt gratitude. Your enthusiasm and active engagement is what makes events like this so impactful. We look forward to the insightful discussions and exchange that will undoubtedly enrich and understanding of the emerging frontiers of the intellectual property rights. With that, I extend my sincere thanks to everyone has contributed to making these events sections a success. Let us continue to explore, learn, and grow together as we navigate this evolving field. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for expressing your heartfelt vote of thanks for this valedictory session. As the famous saying goes, where there's a stepping stone, there is a milestone. That's exactly what took place in today's virtual dais, where we have accomplished another outstanding step towards combating violence against women and children, causes and consequences.
With this, we conclude our 24th International Seminar on Combating Violence Against Women and Children, Causes and Consequences. Now, I would like to convey our deep appreciation to Advocate Nagaraj Narayan Sir, Director, Kerala Law Academy Law College, and Professor Anil Kumar K. Sir, Director, Administration Students and Faculty Affairs, for this fantastic opportunity and never-ending support throughout this journey.
None of this would have been achievable without the generous backing and guidance of people working behind the scenes. Your collective commitment and hard work transformed this international seminar into a successful and enlightening event. We are thrilled and honored to announce that this prestigious international seminar has garnered an overwhelming response, attracting over 100 scholarly papers from esteemed researchers and academicians worldwide. With that, this is Jewel Jacob and Aishwarya Saju signing off. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.
Before we drop this curtain for this resplendent event, I request all of you to join for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे